Okay, I'm not gonna do reintroductions again just because I did everything. But I'm just gonna say for the people on Zoom, which should be just me as of right now, that we're going over the agenda and then also uh going through a couple of new resources. The next resource that I want to go down to is a couple of the slides that I'm just going through today if you all want to follow through. The agenda is also on today too if you want to follow through. And so yeah, now I want to go into Vectorworks so I can show you all a little bit more things that like we missed a little bit last week. It's not gonna take us like super long. But I think it'll be super helpful for y'all into getting this next assignment Does anybody have any questions about like anything that like I kind of changed a little bit and is going on? Cool. Okay, did everybody watch Andy Brumel's recap video that I sent everyone through email? Do I need to go over modifying 2D shapes at all again, or does everybody know like how to like add things together, how to like clip things, intersect, or do I need to go over any of this with you all? Like basically raise your hand if you want me to go over it, I can. No? Okay, great. Okay, so we're just gonna move on then. I will say that this compose and lasso is not in the video, so I'm gonna go over that a little bit. So I'm gonna say, let's say you have like a box that you have created, or just like an object that you have created that doesn't have everything together. You can compose that all together to make it into one singular box. And you can do that by going to modify and then composing it, and then it turns it into one singular like polygon. Or you can on Mac you can do Command Option Shift P, and it does the same exact command. So that's going to be like super useful when you have something that's like a bunch of lines that you've constructed together that you want it to just be like one solid line. And this is really going to help you go into like 2D to 3D. So this is like a really good flow to like really learn this command because it's really going to take us to that next level. So the next thing that I have is Polygon Lasso. This one is super great if you have like a bunch of like furniture pieces that you want to look like uh one singular piece. And this one's really helpful if you have something that is like also a bunch of lines. This can also work too. Or if you have like a piece of furniture that you don't necessarily want like all of the lines in, or if you want it like let's say you have a piece of furniture and there's no like backing to it, like there's no like fill into it, so you can like go over to lasso. You can go over to your polygon, or sorry, you can go over to your polygon. So that's 8, and then there's a mode up here that you can click on, and then you can circle around it and select all of it, and then it becomes like one object, and you can place this like underneath it, and then it just kind of like fills out all of your like spaces that aren't filled in, and it can just be like a really easy way to do it. So that's like two modifying things that I think are super great, that are super helpful and super useful. So snapping, so y'all snapping is gonna look a little bit different on your end. It's gonna be at the bottom, instead of like up here. But these are the settings that I recommend, for you to have like on your computer. I recommend the ones that are highlighted. So it would be like object snap. So that would be like snapping it like to have like these 4 points. Um, or like just like the blue dots in general to have your vertices on. I recommend having angle snap on. Angle snap is really gonna help. Like if you have an angle and then you can like snap an angle to let's say you have this and selective under this mode selected. It's the first mode underneath your arc tool. If you keep going and then hold shift, sometimes it will like select like certain angles for you. That's like super helpful to just have. Otherwise, it's just gonna have like nothing selected. Um, so that's like a super useful tool. Intersections, I would say, is super helpful also. It kind of allows you to have let's say you have like a circle and you're trying to like intersect it, it will basically intersect at any point on this circle, and that will have like it will be like selected and it'll snap to that object for you. For smart points, it's kind of like when you double click and you need to like modify an object or modify like a polygon, you can double click and that'll kind of give you like more vertices as well. For snapping to distances, I don't really recommend having that on because you want to have like a little bit more precision with your things, not really a rounded precision. Smart Edge, I do recommend. It is like hovering over to a reference. So if I'm like just like hovering over this, it'll automatically just bring my mouse, and then you can like look at where it's like where it's clicking like on your object. And then tangent snap. Sometimes I recommend this, sometimes I don't. It's like with another like circle, and then you can like intersect something with like this tangent. And it'll like be on the tangent of the circle. And then we'll get into snapping and work plane into next week when we're going into 3D. So another useful tool that when you are pausing your snapping, you can hit the oh my God, I forgot what the squiggly line key. I forgot what the name of it is, but if you like click on the squiggly line key, it'll like it'll like suspend your snapping, and you can like um go anywhere you want. So if I click it, it won't snap to it, but if I unclick it, or sorry, if I like tap it on the keyboard, it'll snap to anything. So that's snapping. We're gonna go over text tools later. So a little bit of duplicating objects. I just want everyone to know that there's like multiple ways to duplicate things. So there's like your normal copy paste. It's like command C, command V. You can drag and duplicate. This one is holding Option. If you're on Mac, it's Command if you're on Windows, and then it'll drag and duplicate. If you have your snapping on, it's automatically going to like snap to a line like on vertices that you see here, like the green and the red, they're going to snap to those. If you have it like suspended, it won't snap at all. So you can just click and drag that anywhere you want. So another way is to have the duplicate command. So this one is command D. So it'll basically drag it to the last place like you had like your mouse. So it'll be like command D. And then it's like the last place that you clicked basically. So that's like another way to duplicate commands. And then you can duplicate it in place by holding Option while you hit Command C. And then you can hit Option, and then it duplicates it again. So like Command Option C. Oh my gosh, that didn't work. Option, copy, paste. Oh, sorry. It's Option with Command C and then Command V. Sorry, that's my bad. and then it'll duplicate it again. So those are just like other ways to duplicate things that I just want you all to know. There's also a duplicate array. So let's say you have like one thing and it's like, let's say you have like a pattern of things going on, right? So you want this to be like a pattern that is like repeating every so times. You can go to modify it, or sorry, you can go to edit it, and then you can go to duplicate array, and then this will give you like any number of duplicates. Like let's say you want 5 duplicates and they're all like 5 inches apart on an x-axis. You can put in your number of duplicates and then hit your offset, and then it'll duplicate everything like 5 inches apart. But let's say you wanted it and it's like 5 feet, so this looks like a little bit better. And then this will basically like make everything like very patternistic. There's like other ways to do this too. Let's say like you wanted like a duplicate array that is like more of a like rectangle or a circle. You can do this in like columns too, and like rows and stacks. So let's say I wanted like 6 of these in a column. Let's say I also wanted like 6 of these in a row. Stacks is more for like on the Z axis. So that's like when you are going into 3D, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And let's say I wanted these distance to be 10 feet between all of them, so that it's just like even. And then it'll give me like a whole bunch of these. So this is like super helpful if you have something that's like graded metal, right? This is like a graded metal, like helpful thing. Or if you have like a pattern that's like inside of like, let's say a tile or something that you want to create or something, this is like super helpful for that. You can also do it in a circle, which is the same process. You can go duplicate array. This is the way you do circles. Let's say it's 10 of them and it's on like a 45-degree angle. This kind of creates it into a whole bunch of them. So if you have like a bunch of like objects that are in like half a semicircle or something, you can have this, and then you can like maybe like delete the rest of them, and then that'll be like helpful for that. Another thing is that you can like duplicate it along this path. So let's say you had like selected or like created this line. I just created like a squiggly line just to like show you all. You can go under edit. So you select the object, you go under edits, and then you do duplicate along path. And you have to have both of them selected. That's my bad. You have to have both of them selected. I think it's either both of them or one of them. And so let's say I wanted to have like one number of 5. And then I hit OK, and then it basically duplicates this along this path. That's like this one is like super helpful if you have like a bunch of things that are also the same, that are very like systematic. So let's say it's like a straighter line and you want everything like in like a very precise like 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet. You're making like a window, right? And it's like the same things. It'll just duplicate it like so much faster rather than you having to like space everything apart and then going to be like, oh, I want it like 2 feet, and then having to move every single line or anything like that. So that's just a very simple way if you want something that's like very systematic, and doing that with that. Okay, so those are like a few things that are just like to start off with that I want you all to just like know and that you have. The next thing that I want to go through is orthographic projections. So okay, so we went through some basic settings. Okay, so before y'all like look at the slide, does everybody know what an orthographic projection is? Can anyone tell me? No? Okay, so an orthographic projection is basically having your 2D representation of your 3D object like splayed out. So it's like all the different sides of an object, right? So basically, like if you are taking like this cube, it's like what does your front side look like? What does your top side look like? And like what does your left or right sides look like? So typically like when you're plating something, plating means like the process of like taking what you drafted and putting it on like a plate to like print out. Um, it would basically like be like, what does it look like splayed out? So there's like a certain method that we like to use that's called like the glass box method. That's basically like you're just taking the image of this object and you're taking like your views of it, like your tops, your sides, your left and your right. So if you play like video games, for example, let's say you have like let's say it's like Minecraft, right? You have like a block. Let's say it's like a piece of soil or something. You have a block. It's like, what does the top of that block look like? Maybe it's like grass, right? Maybe your block looks like grass. The bottom would be like soil though, right? Because that's like regular soil. But if you take your left and right, it's gonna be like a almost like a side view of it, right? Where it's like the soil, or sorry, the grass, the pebbles or something, and then like the soil. So that would be like how that works. Um, so I want everyone to do this orthographic projection exercise. We're gonna do this until maybe about like 10:15. I'm gonna kind of like do it with you all, but I want us to really like hone on like what these orthographic projections are and like how these work. So basically we're gonna be using, and you can find this also in the Canvas underneath week 2. And then we're gonna go under. Oh my gosh, I didn't upload it. Give me 1 second to upload it for y'all. To Okay, so I just republished this, so it should show up for everyone on like a bigger scale. Uh Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing like inside of Vectorworks. We're going to be like basically using these measurements that are on here. I'm going to say these are in millimeters, but I'm going to say let's just go ahead and like say that they're inches instead of millimeters. I think that would be like so much like more helpful for us. But do y'all want me to walk you through this, or do you want to do it and then we'll just come back to it in like maybe let's say like 20 minutes, and then we're going to check. How do y'all want to go through this? Yes? Yes, so I want you to draw this out on like what you think like the top view would look like, what the side view would look like, and then maybe what like the front view would look like, right? So when we think about like orthographic projections, right? So going back to this slide, taking something, we want like the top, we want the ground plan first, the top view. We want that first, and then we're gonna take that and move it and make it into a front view and then a side view, right? So does everyone know how to like pull that off of a top view, or do you want me to like go through that? Go through it? Okay, go through it. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so if you have downloaded it from your modules, you can take it, and so you can take it and put it inside of here. I'm gonna do it so y'all can like see what it is, but I should have sent you all the PNG anyway. So what you can do to like import this is that you can just click and drag. Like literally that's like the easiest way. You can just click and drag the photo in, and it'll ask you if it's like a PNG or a JPEG. Sometimes like one is like more than the other, like more like megabytes than the other. I recommend the smaller megabyte because it's just gonna make your file like less crazy. Like if you have like so many like reference images in your thing, it's gonna just be a better time. And so another way you can do this is go to File and then Imports. And then you can import like a PDF or something, like if it's like a PDF instead of like a PNG. But the easiest way to like have something bitmapped like into your software, you just click and drag. Does everybody know what I mean when I say bitmap? No? Okay, so a bitmap is basically instead of having something like linked into your file, it's like etched into your file forever. So this is the same way how like Illustrator works versus like InDesign for like Adobe products, for example. So like InDesign uses like something that refers to it. It's like the same way that AutoCAD works as well. What you do is like you save all your files into a folder so that like it can always like reference that like back and forth, back and forth. But in Vectorworks, the great thing about Vectorworks is that it can go in there and then it just lives in there forever. It's the same way that Adobe Illustrator works, which is like super great. It can be super great, but it also makes your file massive. So that's like the downside of like doing like bitmaps inside of here and putting so many reference files or all of your paint treatments in here. That's like the downside of it, but it's like super easy if you're just doing something that's like a simple reference photo, and that's how that works. So we're just gonna go ahead then and look at this photo, see how it's made. So if we're using the glass box method, right, it'll basically look like how this looks like, where we're going from how this looks like on if it was projected like on a 3D plane, right? That's how that works. I'm gonna make this not a solid so you can like kind of see what I'm doing. So this is like basically how this is functioning, right? This is a very kind of poorly drawn box, but I think you get the point. So we're gonna take it and let's say we want our two dimensions that are the largest dimensions. The way that I like to do this is I like to draw like what the largest dimensions are and then work like from outside to in. So we're gonna take this and this is like a 48 inches and then 108. So I'm gonna like go ahead and just draw a box. I'm gonna hit tab. By the way, if you notice in the upper right, I have a key caster. So if you want to know what I'm doing at all times, like you totally can. It's in the upper right. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this again, which is 48 inches, and then I'm gonna go 108 inches. Actually, sorry, that is flipped. So it's 108 by 48 inches. So this is basically the start of my top plan, right? So I'm gonna go over and then just start filling in. So it's gonna be like this is 12 inches apart. So I'm gonna go in and this is like a box shape. So I'm gonna be like, oh, this is a box. Let me just create this block that's here. And the block is, let's say, 24 inches. So I'm gonna hit tab and I'm gonna hit 24 inches. It's already snapping because I have the snapping on, right? Because that's what we all like had the settings on. You're gonna like basically hit the bottom of this, and it's gonna create a shape that is in like the that is snapped to the height of this. And then I'm gonna move it over to the edge so that I know it's like snapped to the edge of this. And since the dimension from it moving over is 12, I'm gonna go ahead and just hit 12 or tab and then 12, and then it's going to be 12 inches. So automatically it's going to give me like this red circle. If you have your snapping on, which you should, it should snap, and it should snap to the angles as well. If you hit shift, it'll be a little bit more like crisper of a snap. So that's something that you can get, that you can guarantee and make sure that this is going to like always be hitting on this line. So that's like the first way that I would do that. And then going on, there's another line that's 12. So I would move on, go over this line, and then I would move this over by another 12 inches, and that's how I would get that line, right? So going on to the middle portion, I can see that it is in the middle. So what I'm going to do with this one, the box is 24 by 48 by 24 by 24 inches. So that's like 24 inches deep. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make like the width and the depth of it. Or sorry, I'm gonna do the width and the length of it. So we're gonna do 48 inches again. That'll get my length. And then we're gonna do the width, which is 24. So this is like the box for the interior. So a way that you can do this is click on the middle and then hit this under where you snapped it, and it'll bring it to your center where it says like midpoint. It'll have like a little glass that says like midpoints. Sorry, y'all can't see it. It'll say like midpoint. And then that's how I know that this is like centered and that it's like correct with everything else. Uh, so that is how I would do the top view. So another thing to note about like line weights, for example. So line weights are basically used that like if you're thinking of how something is stacked, the closer it is to it, the more like boulder is going to be, right? Because it's closer to you, it's heavier, it's going to be a heavier line weight because it's like so much closer to your eyes. So for this one, there are different ways that you can draw this. Like I was saying in the last class, so there are classes that are basically like you can use them as your line weights, and that's like a perfectly good way to do it. So you would need to go in and then change every single one of your line weights by going into your OIP, your object info palette, and then changing every single class. So you have a whole bunch of like in your template, you have a whole bunch of like line weights that are here. I categorize them. If you go down to the line weights one, you can select them. And then let's say this one's like kind of like more towards you. So you can select it by going like that and then going this way. Another way is that you can just go back and then this one's like not as like closer to your eyes. So let's say this is like a point like 30 or point 35. You can also go into your attributes, and this is like the non-class way of doing it, which is the way that like I personally just like prefer drafting. You can do it either way is fine. And then I like just selecting it like that, but it is a little less like able to be controlled because this one has like specific like 35 50 25 18, but a lot of times people just use like point like 10.2 0.3 0.5, right? Like those are like sometimes like the more normal ones that you would have like in a pen or something, which is why some people use classes over this, but I like using this over it because it's just like for me it's a little bit faster. And then the rest of them would be like a normal line weight, so that would be like how I do that. So the way that I pull it down, so I would get like this is like a very 2D method, right? It's a very like pencil and paper. This is how we're drafting, like going from looking at like 2D like paper drawings and taking that into this software is really like where we're trying to go. Like because everything that is in drafting, you can draft like every day, all day, like in this program. But if you're not looking at like your 2D drawings, your 2D examples that I'm like uploading to this resource drive, which by the way is going to be there forever as long as I'm dead and my Dropbox subscription is still alive. You can just always look back at those references or download them for yourself on like how things are drawn, how your line weights like look like, and like how like really just start looking at those documents and seeing like how things are built and how things are like either hand drawn or in 3D and how like those two are like translating. The goal is to really have things look like they're hand drawn, but in a program. Is where like CAD like kind of comes from and where CAD is stemming from. It's computer aided software. So basically off the bat, if I'm creating, so this is like a top view, right? I've just created a top view. Let's say I wanted to create the front view. So I'm basically just gonna take this straight line down. Yes. Yes. Okay, is there any questions about like what I just did? Yes. Yeah, so you can change the snapping feature. So this is like where my snapping is, but yours are gonna live like down below. Oh my God, I'm tempted to just get like a 2024 like version for y'all so I can like help you out. But the snapping is going to be down below for you over here, but for me it's like up here. So like these are the settings that I'm recommending. I'm gonna like zoom into these so you can see. Hold on. That's not what I want. Okay, so these are the snap settings that I'm recommending. I know it's like screenshotted, it's like super blurry, but I would recommend not putting the gridded one on because it's gonna snap to like an internal grid that you're just never gonna get like where you want. This one is if I actually let me go back to this. This might help a little bit better. Okay, so these are the settings that I'm recommending. Does everybody like have these selected? It's gonna be like your object snap, which is like your points. is going to be your angle snaps. So you can like find like the angles that like you are doing like super easy. I recommend having intersections on. I recommend having your smart points on, which is like your red points on over your hover. So when I'm just hovering, this is like your red points. I don't recommend having your snapping to distances on because again, it's kind of like the grade system, so it's gonna like kind of mess you up like a little bit later on. I recommend your smart edges too. So your smart edges are like your midpoints or like anywhere on here. It's just gonna like when I hover, it's gonna like kind of snap to this object. Tangent snap, I recommend having on if you have like if you're using like circular tools. And then those are the settings. Does everybody have these settings done? Okay, great. So that's how you snap. Okay, so going back to this, is everybody following where I'm at? Not yet. Okay, so I'm gonna do it again. So basically, you're just going through your circle, which is, or sorry, your rectangle, which is 48. So I'm hitting tab. 108 is like my x-axis. 48 is my 48 inches is my y-axis. So this is how I know that this is like the complete base print of this entire object. So next, I'm gonna draw a rectangle, which is basically symbolizing this rectangle that's up here. And then I'm just gonna draw it and I'm gonna snap it over here. But with my X, because it's like 24 inches, it's gonna make it 24 inches. So I hit like tab 24 inches and then I hit enter. And then I'm just gonna move it over. I'm gonna drag it over so that it like moves to wherever I want by dragging it over. And it's 12 inches as I'm seeing from the diagram. And then if I hit shift, it'll kind of place it and snap it where my line is right here. But it'll also snap it along like this little red circle that I have. So that's how I got this circle, or sorry, this rectangle to go over. I'm gonna draw one more line just over this. And then I'm just gonna move it by sliding it over. And then it's 12 inches over because that's the dimension that I'm seeing. And then I'm gonna hit shift so I know that it snaps to it. And then that's how I got this line. So that's how we took care of this whole piece, right? And then for the middle portion, again, uh, the box opening is 48 by 24 by 24 deep. So that's how I know the dimensions of this footprint are going to be 48 by 24. So I'm basically just going to draw a box that is 48 inches, tabbing it over. I'm typing in 24, and then that'll give me my box. So I'm going to move it by hitting these smart points. You can move it, and I'm going by the center, and I'm going to snap this center that I have right here to this center right here. So that's how I got this like bottom, this like little box that's here that you can see this here. So basically, what we just did is, if you see this top box that is up here, I'm gonna like draw over it so that you see. Wait, sorry, it's on lasso. So basically, this box that is up here, that's what we were just taking care of, right? This is like the top view of it. So another thing to note that if this was like a plan view, plan views are basically like if you had cut the piece at like a 3 foot like increment. So let's say like if you have like a ground plan and you're cutting it at like for a plan view, usually you want to cut it at like a 3 foot. We'll get to this a little bit later. But since this is like such like a small object, we're just gonna do a top view. And what that is just directly looking at it from above down and not cutting it at all. So this is how I got to here. Is everybody caught up to where this is again? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change this to look like it is like you're looking down and it's coming at you. Like the more it comes at you, you're gonna have like a thicker line weight. Um, So again, with line weights, I want to go under my pens and I can change it by going to my attributes and I can change it this way. Totally valid way to do this. I go to 0.50 and it instantly will make it like be thicker than my other line weights. So this is how I know I'm looking at it from the top down. It's like going to be like more like closer to you. The closer it is, the more like zoomed in your pen should be, the more like thicker your pens should be. Another way to do this is to go to your object info palette and you can change it like via classes. Something about classes is that like it can be used as your pen tools again. Like I was saying, you can go under your line weights and then go to like 10, 20, 30 line weight, and then a 50. This is like not as close as the other one. So I recommend doing this one maybe at like a 30, and then that'll be like how that works. So that's how I got there, and that's how I got that ground plan. Any questions about this top view that I have? Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go on. Yes.
Um, box on the left side.
The box on the left side, the one that I'm like kind of hovering on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna be like our side view. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Okay, so let's say this one's like far away because we already did it. So the side view. So we're gonna take more lines again. This is like the 2D way of doing it, right? So we're taking like lines and we're going over.
What the like C box, like the box we put inside of them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I just drew a box. Actually, I'm gonna do it on this one. I'm gonna do this one again. So I just drew a box. So we know that it's like 24, because this is giving us the information that the box opening is 48 by 24 by 24. We're basically taking those dimensions. So it's 48 wide on our x-axis. So I'm gonna type in 48 inches, tab it over, and then it's 24 inches, tab it over. And then I'm gonna click. So then it gives us our box. The way that I know this is centered is because this basically looks pretty centered. I guess for this one, I can assume that this one's gonna be like centered because this is centered. And I can go to this center. If you have your snapping on, which we all just like redid, you can take it like from the middle and basically hover over it. Your little like red boxes will appear. Your little red snapping points will appear, and then you can take it and then you can move it to your midpoint and it'll snap automatically. I'm not hitting shift. You can tap or you can like hover automatically and then bring it over to that middle point. And that's how I did that. Absolutely. Okay, any more before I move on to doing another view? Yes? You can see the red dots. Okay, so can I see what yeah, we could cover the crosshairs and then cover it and then where the crosshairs are, yeah. Yeah. It's like a yeah, it's just like a cross. Okay, so you see where the crosshairs are, right? So that's what you want. So you want to like hit the cross, and then that's how you like click and drag and yeah, and then that'll right. Okay, so we're gonna move on and we're gonna do the front face of this. This is like super kind of janky. All right, just so y'all can see that better, sorry. Oh, now this looks weird. Okay, so the next one that we're gonna do is gonna be this front view. All right, so let's tackle this one. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna do it on its side, right? So we're gonna go and we're gonna look at this. This is 64 inches tall. Uh, yeah, this is 64 inches tall, and then it's gonna be the same 108. So we're gonna do those same things. And we're gonna look at that. We're gonna make a box in the same uh like moving it over because that's how like 2D representations are drawn. They're drawn like directly over. Uh, and we're gonna make a box that is 108 inches, 9 feet by 64 inches. And I'm just gonna drag this down again. Sorry, this one was for the side. Let me do it one more time. So if I wanted to do it on the front would be like down below, right? But then the side would be like to the side. So this is a front view. Sorry, that's why it looked weird. So I would like basically if I was drawing this like on paper, I would just draw these lines like in a very like ghosted way, but you can always like delete them afterward when you do it. But I would draw them in a ghosted way, and then I'm gonna take this down here so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so I know that since I have this on my ground plan, since this is already a measurement that exists, I can just take this and I can just draw a line on like where this is. And then it'll kind of like give me a starting point to where I can start off with like this little corner that is right here. So I can do it that way, or I can look at it and be like, okay, this is like 8 inches below and this is 12 inches. I can do it in two ways. I can say, oh, this is like a 8 foot line or 8 inch line. I can click on line two, and then type in 8 inches, enter, and then click again, and that'll be that line. And then I can move this over, and it'll be 12 inches, like basically a foot. So that's how I can get that line. The other way is to use this line and then look at this line instead. So I already have this line. I don't need to like look at the other measurement. And so I can just use this line and then I can see that it's 8 inches. And then that's 8 inches. And then I can just draw in and fill in this line. So same thing over here, right? So I can just draw this line that brings it down. I can do 8 inches. I'm hitting shift so I know that it like snaps it at 8 inches. And then I click. So I know this is another 12 inches when I'm drawing this because over here it has a 12. So then I move into the direction that I want. I'm hitting 12 inches, hitting shift so I can click so I know that it's like clicking in a straight line. And then I click again. And that's how I know I have that. So next measurement is 16, right? So I'm just going to go down from here. The next measurement is 16. I'm going to draw a line again by hitting 2. And then I'm going to do 16. And that's how I'm drawing this, right? So this is like basically like how we're getting this projection. We're looking at this. We're looking at like the measurements that like we're wanting. And then we're just drawing it and taking it one line at a time. And so I know then that the next one is just like straight over. So I'm hitting 2, so I can create a line and just drawing that over. So how am I going to get this rectangle that's over here, right? Is everybody like where I'm at right now? Not yet. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're like not just here yet. Okay, do you want me to go through it again? Do you want me to go through it again? Yes. Wait, sorry. I'll make it bigger. Oh yeah, I can do it again. Yeah, yeah. No, no, please ask me to do things again. I know I'm like super like advanced in this program, so please like tell me if I need to slow down. Okay, so by taking some points, okay, so I can basically take some points. So if I'm doing this the point way and not like just creating a box like I did the first time, I can like go from this box and these points and go down, and that's where I can like take like my top view and then go straight down into my front view. You can also go like north. That's also a perfectly valid way to do it. I happen to do this like going south. But let's say like so this is your two lines that you made. So this you already know like this dimension that's going to be 108 inches wide. So you can take those measurements and then you can like snap it to these lines. It'll just like hover and then it'll snap it for you. I'm gonna grab my rectangle over here, and then I'm going to click and drag this so that it is like on the other line. And so I know that this is 108 inches already because I already snapped it to these points. And then when I drag it, I know that it is 64 because we have this measurement over here that is 64 inches tall. So I'm just gonna hit 64. Sorry, that was the wrong. Sorry. I'm gonna go tab and then hit 64 because it's on the y-axis. That was my bad. And it'll give me a box that is like that. So I just want to move this down. I'm just moving it on the green. I'm not hitting shift, and then it'll just move it down for me. So that's how I get like this whole entire face that's right here. The next thing I would do is I would take these points that I've already created for my ground plan, and I would just create these snapping points for myself, just so I know that my snapping points are there. So then I'm gonna try and create and tackle this little box that's right here next. So I'm gonna click on this snapping point that I've just created, and then I'm gonna go down, and then I'm gonna hit. It is 8 inches, so I'm gonna type in 8 inches, and then I'm gonna hit shift so that it just snaps, and then I'm gonna click, and then I'm gonna create the other one by just hitting a line and then clicking on the first point, clicking on the second point. So this is how you can easily do it in like the snapping way. An alternative way to do it is, let's say like these lines weren't here. I can still look over here and I can still just create like a little extra line for myself that is like, let's say it is the 8 inches that is there. And I can just like give myself my own snapping points that are like already there. So that'll be like 8 inches. This one's 12 inches. And I can just give myself those snapping points there. And then basically go and snap it. So like it'll basically snap if I grab that other point that I made and then I hit shift and then I just hover over it. Sometimes if I go down below, sometimes it's a little tricky. If I go down below, sometimes it'll end up like this where it's like green and red. I'm so sorry, the color contrast is like so bad. But it'll be like green and red and then it'll just like snap to that. I'm like hitting shift, I'm just hovering and it just automatically like gives me these points and then I can hit click and that's like another way to just snap it. So all of these points that I'm doing is basically going through and like snapping everything in order to make like these lines so I know that's going to be like 8 inches down from somewhere. It always has to have a reference point from like somewhere. So the next point I know I'm gonna do it the other way, just going down. This one is another this one's 24 inches across, so I can just take it from my ground point, my top view, and then I can go over and then create another one that is 8 inches. And then I can go over again, and this one's 12 inches. Shift, enter, and then it's there. So then I know that this one it can go down, or this one is going down, so I can replicate that front, and it goes down by 16 inches. So I can type in 16, and it'll be a solid 16 inches. And then since I already have that, I can just take a line and then go over, and then that'll be creating this line. Yes. I know that it goes down 16 inches because over here, there's a dimension that has 16. It would Give me 1 second. No, I'm just like looking at this. 16 plus. No, you're so right. I'm so sorry. It's 16 plus 8. So an easy way to fix this, thank you for catching that. An easy way to catch this is you can go over here and then you can go to the length. So you can do this super easy, right? You can just do plus 8 inches. So that was my boo-boo, right? And then you can click enter and then it'll just make it 8 more inches. Or the other way that you can do it is you can click on this blue dot and then you can tab it over another 8 inches. Or sorry, you do another like plus 8 inches. And then it'll bring it to another 8 inches. And then that's another way that you can do that. So it's either in the OIP or you can do it by like typing it out and tapping it out. So then I just go ahead and then grab my crosshairs on this, move it down, and then it snaps down to that. Thanks for catching that. Yes, it is down by 8 more inches. Uh, yeah, so it would be like 16. So that's like the box, and then it's another 8 inches. It would be 20. It would be 24 inches, so it'd be 2 feet. Because this is 16, and then there's like the mistake that we did, which is forgetting about this 8 inches right here.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And so then you're just drawing this line that's like left over. So then I can go and grab another rectangle because this is like 48 by 24 inches deep, right? So I can draw this rectangle and this is inside of it. So basically anything that's like hidden inside of it, we always want to draw like on like a dotted or sorry, a dashed line. So we can say that it's like inside of something. It's like an X-ray vision of something, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and then I'm gonna grab a rectangle. I'm hitting tab so I can draw it. It's another 48 inches on the x-axis, and then this is 24 inches deep. So that's how I got this box. And then I'm just gonna drag it over to where it is. Yes? Oh, go over the measurements. Yeah, go so the box, it's like the box opening says that's 48 by 24 by 24 deep. So that's how I know like the deep is like the depth of it. So that's like where we're going. So I know that's 48 inches wide because that's like this is like the longer side. So I'm typing in 48 inches, tabbing it, and then I'm doing 24 inches because it says that's 24 inches like deep. So the y-axis is gonna be like it's gonna that's how like tall that's how tall or like deep like this box is. And that's how I got like those measurements for this box. And then I'm just gonna go over and drag it over. So we know that this is the box, but we know that this is not a section, right? This is not a section. This is just a side view. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to make this into a dashed line by going over either to our pens or to our classes. So the pen is going to be a line and we're going to change it to a dashed line. So these are some of your lines. If you like go inside of your if you click on this, you'll be able to change your line. Automatically, if it's a solid line, it's a straight line. It's not going to be dashed. You have to make it dash. So you go to line type, it makes it dash and it makes it into any other line that you have. Right. So these are just like the different line types that you have. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do dashed medium, let's say. And that's how we know that this is like a 24 by 4 foot, or sorry, a 24-inch by 48-foot deep hole that's in here. And that's how we can tell that this hole is in here. So next, let's go on and like do this smaller rectangle that is on this face over here. So we know that it is 24 by 16 because we see these dimensions. So I'm just going to make a 24 by 16 inch box. And then we can drag it over to this corner. by snapping it, grabbing the crosshairs, bringing it over. And then we know that it is 12 inches to the left. So I'm going to type in 12, hit shift, and then release it. So I know that's snapping. And then I know that it is 8 more inches below. So I'm going to type in 8 inches, and I'm going to hit shift, and then I'm going to drag it down and then release it. So that's how I got this box. This is like a hollow box. So that's how I'm getting this view, right? Okay, everyone there? Everyone here? Not yet? Okay. Anything that is confusing about making this front view? Yes, is 24 inches deep. We know that because we have this little dimension right here.
Small box on the right.
The small box on the right, it is 24 by 16. This is also like in your canvas if you want to like click and drag it in so you have it like on your screen. So you can like download it just to be like easier if you can't see the screen. How do I figure out where to place it? So let's say I just have it, it's random, it's a random box I just made. You can go to these points. I clicked and dragged it to this point that is right here. I'm moving it over by 12 inches because the 12 inches is over here. This dimension right here is 12 inches. And then I'm moving it down by 8 inches because there's another dimension that's up here that is sorry, by 8 inches because there's another dimension that's up here by 8 inches. So I'm moving this down by 8 inches, shift, moving it down, and then I'm releasing. And that's how I got where that is. Is everyone here? Okay, so I'm gonna go on to the next like move. So a way to clean this up is that I made this box, right? But it's not what is there. It's not what is there. So I'm gonna just click it and I'm just gonna, oops, oh my God, not delete it. Sorry. I'm gonna go over it and select all of it. Or actually, let me do this another way. A way that you can make this like its own like polygon is to just trace over it. So I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna grab either my polyline tool, which is 5, or my polygon tool, which is 8. I recommend always doing 5 because it's always gonna be like your polygon tool because it's always gonna be in like this straight mode anyway. And then I can just go ahead and trace over it so that it's like one object and that's not like a bunch of lines. So I just traced over that. I hit escape or X, and then I can go again to this box, delete it, and then bring this to the back. So it's Command B. And then that'll bring it to the back and it'll make it one whole object together. And then I can just go ahead and clean it up and go and clean up my snapping lines so that they're not there because it's like if you're doing this like in 2D, you would go back and like erase all of these or they would be ghosted, right? So you can just go back and delete all of these. So that's how I know I have my front view that's like straight from taken from top to the bottom. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay, so the next one I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do this side view that's over here. The only one that's not yellowed out. Oh, y'all, you can't even see the yellow. No. Okay, maybe I'll make it red. Is that better for y'all to see? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do the last one that's not like redded out. So basically like this shape right here. So I'm gonna move this again just so I can show you all. Okay, so the last one again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these over And I'm just gonna make some snapping lines just for myself to have the snapping. And this is how wide I know it is. And I also can know how wide it is because it tells me the dimensions right here are 48. So again, I'm just gonna make a box that's like the largest footprint. So 24 by 48. Or sorry, 64. It is 64. Wait, hold on. Sorry, that's it. That's the tall. Sorry, that's the tall way. Uh, yeah, my bad. Okay, so this is gonna be 48 inches wide. And then we already have the tall. Sorry, give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm gonna do this off of the other one. That's my bad. Okay, so I'm gonna go off of the other one. Sorry, that's like completely my bad. So I'm gonna go over the off of the top measurements of this one and create it from the front view instead. And this is how I'm getting the side view. So I can go from the front view to the side view. So I can do 64 inches tall, which is like what I just grabbed off of these snapping points. And then I can go down and then create the 48-inch rectangle. That's my bad. I got the wrong face. So this is how I'm making this side view. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is this little box that's like in the front. So I'm just gonna grab a rectangle and then I'm gonna do it is 48. This rectangle is already 48, the one in back. So I'm just gonna snap it to that one, and then I'm gonna hit tab to get the y-axis, and then I'm gonna do 32. And then that'll give me this smaller box that's right here. So then the next one is a line that is like up here that's signifying like these up here. So I'm just gonna draw over this just so I have like a line that's there, and then I'm just gonna move it up by 16 inches plus 8, which is sorry, that was the mistake that we had before, which is 24, 16 plus 8. Yeah, 24. Yes. Which what? Which POV? It is the last box that we have. And this was my bad when I was like just telling y'all about which side to grab it off of. It is this one that I just blocked out. I'm gonna make it red so you can see it. Yeah, so we're making this last one. Yeah, sorry. So that was like my bad on that. Yeah. Okay, so then we have this line that we just made, and then there's a second line that we just made again. Or sorry, yeah, that's the line that is up here. So that's like the height. It's the second line that's right here, and then we create this box that's down here. So we can bold this one, make this line a little thicker by going to our attributes or our classes and making this and changing it into a 50 line weight because it is closer to us. So it's going to be like closer and like further out and further away. So another thing that is here is this smaller little rectangle. So that's like a hidden one because it's like inside, right? So we're gonna create another line for that one. And then we're gonna bring the line down because that's like another thing that's inside of it that's hidden. So I hit 8 inches and then I'm hitting shift and then releasing. Another way you can do it is to just take this and snap it over so you know that's right there and you know that's hidden. And then you can make this a hidden line. And just snapping this over just to make sure that is this one. So you don't need to draw the second hidden line because it's already being obstructed by the thing that's in front of you. And then this is how you can get your side view. And then you can go and clean it up. Okay, does this make sense to everyone? Like this orthographic view? Do I need to go over anything again? I know this was like so like a lot of mental math, right? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead then and let's do like a 5 minute break because I know that was a lot, and then I'm gonna give you assignment number one. Okay, so I'm gonna start the break. I'll be back at like let's say 10:31. Just so y'all can like catch your breath. Like I know this was like a really mentally like a lot, like right? But this is how we can like power through the rest of assignment one. We take it and then we're projecting everything. Quick question about laptops, y'all. Is it like that you have your laptops at home or do you just like come here like every time to like do the assignment? You come in here? Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes. Like, our dad fix it.
Wait, what's up?
Her laptop is a bad.
Oh, it's probably like the gigabytes. I remember I was working on like an 8 GB laptop and it was so bad.
Sometimes runs slow and it won't let me like sound anything. When I try to like place on my like workspace will like it like it includes itself like
Oh no. Oh, computer malfunction.
because like I asked her
Crazy. Oh my goodness. Well, the computers are very good. They're all like 32 gigabytes.
yeah.
It's the same as my laptop. All right, is everybody ready to like move on? Not yet. Okay, a little longer. Is there anything that's like confusing or do I need to like do it again? Or is it just like time to work? Time to work, yeah. All right, I'll give y'all another like five, yeah. Where's my dotted line? Which one? This one? Yeah, so I took this from like this box that's right here, this box that's right here, and then I moved it over, and that's how I got that line. What is it referencing to? It's referencing to this box that is over here. So that's like it's like a box that is inside. So it's like a hollow box that's inside of it. Yeah, a lot of these like projection exercises have like random holes and boxes that are in there. That's how I got that. What angle is it? It's like from this one that's like I'm too short. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry if my mouse is so small. It is this one right here that I'm selecting. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's why like in the beginning I was like doing it like from another angle and I was like, wait, that's not the angle that I was teaching. So sorry, so sorry about that. Yep. What's up, Nikki? Did I see your email? Oh, your name. Oh, let me check. Actually, I'll check. Let's check after class. Let's check after class. Is anybody like not enrolled in this class that should be right now? I think everyone that I just called was here like this morning, basically. Okay. Okay, so can I move on or is everybody still working? We're all good? Okay, so I'm gonna move on and let's go to not my parking citations. We're gonna go on to I did because like I put in my license plate wrong. It was like numbers first and then letters and I made a mistake. Okay, so we're gonna go on and do the next thing, which is just looking at some examples. So in your drive, in your modules under resources, I have a couple of furniture examples that I just want to show you all of like drafted furniture examples. So in here, I have a whole bunch that are hand drafted. If you go into those, there's a whole bunch of them that you can go in and look at like all of these that have drafted furniture that you can take a look at that shows you literally how it's like the same thing, like right, like you're taking like this plan and you're projecting it into like the top view and then the front view and then the side view. So it's like you're going from like the the top view and then you're taking it and then you're moving it into like a front view and then you're taking those and going into the side view. And that's how those work with all of those. So all of these have that similar thing. This one happens to not have a plan view, but some of them do. Let me. So it's taking you through some of these and seeing how they look. So it's like the same thing, right? So this is how we're gonna look at like orthographic projections. We're gonna like take it from the top down again and then seeing what it looks like on the side. So this one's an example of like a bed that's like on wheels, as you can see like right here. And then again, like you're taking it from this view and then taking it over for your side view. All right, so let's look at a table, for example. So this one is a table that somebody drew. and this is like your top view, right? So always in top view, we want to see like what is hidden underneath, right? So this example, like for a table, they have dashed or yeah, dashed lines of what is like underneath it. So that would be like the legs and everything, right? So that would be like what you would see underneath this is like what you are putting underneath it. So it wouldn't just be a rectangle. So that's something that's like really important that like when you are doing like ground plans or like a top view that you notify like you note what is down below because that's how you want to like convey that information. So taking a look at a couple things like those, and then I want you to really take a look at the time saver standards that I have on here as well. Okay, so this is like in this textbook that I just want you all to see that this textbook has like a whole bunch of those same like types of views. So it's to be like some front views that it has and then some ground plan views that it has. So I just want you to see like in this textbook that it has like widths of like beds and then widths of like tables and stuff like that. So that's just something that like to note that it's like a resource for you all. That's like in their Canvas. I like pulled all these out specifically for y'all to like just have and see for yourself. Okay, that's the break. Okay, so I want you all to take a look at these chairs as just like more examples and then really figure out like so the assignment that we're about to do is two options that I'm going to give you all, which is going to be like a table or a bench, and we're going to go through that in a second. But before that, I really want you all to just take a look at like how these things are constructed and really just know about like the construction of things because these things are important because when we're going on to scenery, it's like how is it constructed from the back? Like how are we using like these stock sizes that we can use for like building this object? So let's say this is like a chair leg that is like maybe made from like a 4x4. Someone would like take that 4x4 and then cut that, right? So that's like having like these stock dimensions from like Home Depot and things like that that you can use that like really just make these like types of pieces of furniture and how we would like build them. It wouldn't just be like out of all ply. It would be out of like things that are like solid like 2x4s or out of solid like one bys. So just seeing like how a table is constructed, for example, in the same sense, it's like it's kind of like it would be like a flat, right? Does everybody know how a flat is constructed on the bottom, right? Or through the back, it would have like a whole bunch of like 2x4s on the back and then have a facing, right? It's the same thing, like basically with furniture. It's kind of like with this table, you have your rail in the center, you have your like end rails, and then you have like your side rails, and that would be like basically the bottom of this. So that's how that would be like constructed. So I just wanted you all to see that this is how you would construct it. The way that you would basically like draft it, you would draft that same thing. So going back to like where I had that table, for example, it's like you would draft what's underneath that. You would draft what's underneath it, and then you would see like what is underneath this table, in a hidden way. It's like hidden lines underneath it. Uh, so looking at how it's drafted is basically like looking at like the side profiles of everything. So we're gonna go on and like basically in a second do like a table and we're gonna go and like grab those profiles and I'm gonna show you how to like do that basically. But that's how these things are constructed. And this is all like in your canvas, so you can take a look at it also. Um, and this is how like a bench would be kind of like put together as well. Same thing as a chair, just a little longer, right? Okay, so going to assignment one, basically it's the same concept that we're taking an orthographic projection. And what I want for you all to do for assignment one, which you can find like already in the Canvas, we're basically going to be taking that orthographic projection of I'm going to have you all choose right now. Actually, do you want to do we can do either the table or the bench, which is a little bit more advanced, or we can do like a free for all with everyone doing like one or the other. Can I get a show of hands of maybe like who wants to do the bench? You want to try the bench? Okay. So we're gonna do choose your own adventure then. We're gonna do choose your own adventure. So I'm actually gonna go through the table first. The bench is maybe a little bit more advanced, but it's like the same concept of like the same thing. So if you go inside of your folders, let me go to back here. Okay, so if you go to assignment 1, and then if you click on your link to assignment 1A files, you're gonna find like the assignment itself, and then you're gonna find like a whole bunch of pictures of like reference images of your object. So let's take the table, since everyone wants to do the table right now for the most part. We're just gonna download all of those, right? We're gonna download those from where we have. I already have them downloaded, so I'm just gonna go to that. Okay, so the way we would do that is when we are in here, in your Vectorworks. So let's go ahead and just create like a new layer. Let's call it table reference, because it's like the reference photos, right, that we're doing. Make sure that your scale is in 1 to 48. And you can follow along while I'm doing this in the assignment that I have for right here. We're going to be doing in this class, for this specific class, we're going to be doing a new design layer for it, and then we're going to be doing the views of it, and then we're going to be using like the line weights and everything. So we're just going to be drawing in 2D just for this class, for this one, and then the next class I'm going to teach you how to plate it. So taking that, so let's say you have them downloaded. So I have the PNG. I'm going to click and drag it in. It's going to be a bitmap, so keep it as a bitmap. I'm making it as a JPEG because it's like smaller, like in gigabytes. And then I'm going to put it in here. Okay, so this is what we have to start off with, but we know that the height of it is 30 inches high, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to scale it down. So what I'm going to do on how to scale is I'm going to take this, I'm going to draw a line that's 30 inches, and then I'm going to hit enter. So that's my line. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to put it on to where I can grab like a height off of this table. And so that's how I know that's how small it needs to be. So we're all going to scale it down by going to modify. And then we're going to go to scale, or sorry, where is it? Yeah, sorry, we're going to go into modify and then scale objects. Again, if you can't find anything, just hit F and then type in scale objects. And it's going to bring you to this page where you can click on your current distance, which if you click on this tab that's next over to it, you can grab your distance. So this is like the highest point that we have, right, that we want it to be. And then this is the height that it is right now. So we're going to click and we're going to drag it to the lowest point of where it is. That's like the height of what it is right now. And then your new distance is going to be 30 inches, right? So we're going to type in 30 inches, or you can click on this tab and then you can click back on your little line that you drew, and it'll still give you a 30 inches. And then you can hit OK, and then it scales it all the way down to what you need. So that's how you can get that to be a scale. So that's going to be how you get that. I recommend making another layer. And let's say this one's drafted table, because this is where you're going to draft on. So this is your reference layer, right? And then you're going to make a new layer that's also 148, which is a quarter inch scale. And then what you're going to do is basically take your table reference and you can gray it out so that it's not as prominent. So you can continue to draw on top of it. Your layer options should be in show snap others so you can see everything. If you do show snap modify others, that means that like everything will be able to be in your control no matter what layer you're on. It can get a little messy. So you're going to go to show snap others and then go back to your drafted table reference. And then what you can do, I'm going to get this line out of the way. What you can do from here is start by taking a box, right, and get your widest points. So this is going to be like 30 inches high. And I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to make this transparent just so I can see everything. But if we want like real dimensions, it's going to be like, let's say that this is like a 6x6 that we like carved out. So the 6x6 is like 5.5 inches. And we're gonna start basically like carving out these lines with our measurements. So you can basically like take profiles from this. I'm going to do mine with a polygon tool. And you can take this and basically start to carve out your way. And continue like going down and carving. So basically, by the end of those profiles, you're going to end up with something that's a little like this. So taking that same concept, right? So it's like taking that whole entire box that you have that's like in the back, like that total box, same concept, that total box. And then you're like putting that in the back. Let me put on this reference layer. And then it makes like all those, like you're making all those profiles from there. So I recommend when you do this, making like a whole object. I'm going to turn this off for a quick split. And then you can go in and then you can fillet it by using this fillet tool 7. And I'm using this corner radius mode of let's say like 1/2 inch, and you can play around with this. This one's a little bit small for like what the reference is. So if this is the reference over here, which I'm gonna drag this over so you can see it a little bit more. Right, so this is like a box, but you can basically fillet it. And let's say you want to fill out your radius to be like, it looks like it's maybe a 1 inch. So you can like round it off basically and make those corners. And you grab one side and then you can grab the other. And that makes like your like semicircle that's like a bead, right? So that's how you would make those beads. So all of these things are like dimensions and things like that that like kind of are just boxes in geometry going from like box to box to box to like kind of rounding it out and filling it out, right? So again, like with the top view though, we're about to end class, but I'm just gonna explain this really quick. Going like with your top view again, it's just like the same thing. Like you're just taking your boxes very similarly to how we did like the orthographic exercise, right? Which is like taking the overall box and then making it into like smaller and breaking it down, breaking it down, breaking it down. So we're basically just doing that same thing, but we're doing that with either a table or we're doing that with a bench. This one, like can be super easy. It's just a lot of repetition, right? So you can make like these like lines that are like this, right? On how they would be built. You would like see how they were built and like kind of create like a polygon off of that. So you would just keep going and making like a whole line polygon and tracing over these lines in order to make this. So it's not as hard as you think. I promise you it's not as hard as you think. And then this would basically be what would be cut out and given to your like shop, right? And then you just continue to this one's not as clean as like probably you would do it, but it would be like super like uh clean, and then you can mirror it over, move that over, and then you can just copy paste, right? This is where that repetition comes into play. Okay, so that's basically class. Does anybody have any like questions about like what your first assignment is? You're basically yes. Yes, yes. So I'm doing like this next class again. And like kind of showing you like walking through it again on next class. I'm gonna try and walk through both if I can. And then towards the end, I'm gonna teach you all how to like put it into a sheet layer and plate it. Yeah. No, just choosing one or the other. Do not do both. That's crazy town. Choose one or the other. Whatever one you think is to your skills or what you want to learn and like buff up your skills. Please feel free to choose whichever one you want. All right, thanks, y'all. Let me stop. Hello.